Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to make this blouse. So as you can see, I have styled it in two different ways here depending on which one is more comfortable for you. When I was wearing it to church on Sunday, I wore a camisole, which is what you're seeing on this side. So if you're interested in learning how to go about this, keep on watching and let's get started. So guys, these are all the fabrics we're going to be using to make this blouse. Now I drafted these whole patterns in my last tutorial. I'm going to be linking it down in the description box for you guys to see. This is the back pattern, this is the sleeve, and this is the band for the sleeve. Everything here was drafted in my last tutorial, so you need to check that out for you to be able to make this. I've also gone ahead to cut out lining pieces for every single piece, for the two front pieces and for the back as well. So guys, this is the bottom part of the front pieces. Remember that the front is cut into the cup parts and then the bottom pieces. So these are the bottom pieces as you can see. Now I'm going to go ahead and iron hairstay to the wrong side of these pieces. It is actually optional. Actually, it's very optional. If you do not have hairstay, go ahead and do without. But I'm going to iron hairstay to the wrong side of this fabric and to the lining pieces as well, just for the waist area. Okay. Now this is going to give it some strength around the waist. So guys, I've ironed the hairstay to the wrong side of the pieces. I also did the same thing on the lining as well. Like I said before, it's optional, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and leave this side out and we're going to work on the upper part, which is the cup. We're going to be making a tiny pleat on this cup so that it will fit into the waist area, okay? But before then, we are going to be joining the cup pieces with the lining. So you place the cup pieces right sides facing each other with the lining, and you're going to stitch the neck and the side. So you do the same thing for the other side as well. Stitch down the neck and the side. So guys, I'm done stitching it down and I've ironed it out. Turn it over to the right side and ironed it out, okay? So now one thing I went ahead to do was to make a gather stitch around the end here. Okay, when you're making a gather stitch, you know you're not going to make any top stitch and you're going to be leaving some excess ropes on the side. So that's what I did here. So I'm going to be pulling on this gather now. I pull on one of the threads. Normally you pull on the top thread, so you just pull on it to give you a little bit of pleats, just like I'm doing here, like this. Okay, so it's now gives you like a cup effect. You know that this is where the bustier is going to be. That's where your bust, your breast is going to sit. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for this other side as well. I'm going to pull on the threads a little bit. Now once you're done pulling on the thread, you're going to bring in the bottom parts, and now remember that this top is going to be having a zipper allowance in front. Okay, so we left 1 inch zipper allowance earlier when we were drafting this pattern. So from the center, I'm going to come in by that 1 inch and I'm going to be making a point here, that 1 inch point, and I'll do the same thing on this other side as well. Okay, so now you want to make sure that the cup you have is going to start from here to the end. So from here to the end, I have 8.5 inches. So after making my gathers, this cup is supposed to be 8.5 inches long. So once I realized that is not exactly what I want, I went ahead to just smoothing up my pleats. Just make sure that it gets to this 8.5 inches point from the zipper allowance point that I marked earlier, just like this. Okay, so now let's take the cup aside and work on the under part first. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is to place the lining on the under parts like this, right sides facing each other, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch from the zipper allowance part and the curve end, zipper allowance and curve end. For the other part, I'm going to be doing the same thing. Go ahead and stitch on the zipper allowance part and the curve edge. Every other part should be left alone. So guys, I'm done stitching it down and I've turned it over to the right side and ironed it out. So this is what it looks like. Now I am going to be placing the cup part on it. Okay, now I want to sew it in a way that it will look neat by the time we are done. So I'm going to be placing the cup piece on this point that we made earlier, this zipper allowance point here. So I'm going to be placing the cup piece from this particular point. make sure it is from this point. And if you need to arrange your gathers a little bit more, please do. Okay, so I'm arranging my gathers and I'm placing my cup exactly on these points that I made earlier for the zipper, and I went ahead to pin it down. Now I'm going to be using the lining to turn everything over. I will actually be putting the cup inside the pieces. Just put everything inside and just make sure you are pinning down the ends of the cup with the ends of the waist part. So now the cup is going to be in between the two of them basically. Just go ahead and pin it down and push the cup inside. You'll be able to bring it out through the side by the time you're done with everything. So don't worry, just make sure you're pinning all three parts together. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and make a stitch on this side here and do the same thing for the other side as well. So I'm done making my stitches and this is what it looks like. So this is what it looks like before I turn it out. So I'll just push it out through the side and this is what it's going to look like. It's actually very easy, but if you don't understand what I explained, it might be a little bit hard for you. Just push it out through the side and just use your scissors to just push out the zipper allowance area very well so that it's more visible. And this area here is going to be stitched in for the zipper in front. So basically this is what the two front pieces looks like right now. I am just going to go ahead and iron this so that it looks really nice. So guys, I'm done stitching down the front pieces. We'll be leaving them aside for now. Let's work on the back. Now for the back pieces, it's very simple. We're not joining anything. I'm just going to go ahead and join the two pieces lining and actual fabrics together, right sides facing each other. So I'll be stitching around the neckline, the sides, and around the end here. So guys, I'm done stitching it down and I've turned it over to the right side and ironed it out. Now we're going to be placing our darts. Now from my pattern paper, the length of my dart is 8 inches. Now coming to my fabric, I folded it into two. From the center, I'm going to go in by half of my nipple to nipple measurement and mark it. Then I will go up by that 8 inches, which is at this point here. I'm going to be stitching my dart on this side and I will do the same thing for the other side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch from this end to where my chalk actually ended at the top here, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. So guys, now I am done stitching it down, as you can see. So this is what it looks like. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is we are going to be joining the zipper to the front pieces. Okay, now you might not be able to get the zipper that will fit into this small space exactly, so I got a very long zipper that can open up all the way to the end. So I'm going to be fixing this into this opening here, and I'll be cutting off the excesses that I will have at the top. So guys, I'm done fixing the zipper now, and you can see it opens all the way through. I had to cut off the excess that was at the top. So this is what it looks like now. Now we're going to be joining the front and the back pieces together on the shoulder area. So I've arranged the shoulders of both the front and the back pieces, and I'm going to be using one of the lining piece to cover up every other part. This is how I go about my shoulder stitching almost on every single video that I make here. You guys should be used to it by now. If you don't know how to do it, whichever way you know how to join your shoulders, please go ahead and use that method. So I'm going to go ahead and just pin it down around the shoulders here, and once you're done, go ahead and stitch it down. So I'm going to be stitching this down here with about 1/2 inch stitching allowance, and I will do the same thing for this other side as well. So guys, the shoulders are stitched down now, as you can see, and this is what the back is looking like. You can notice that the front is longer than the back because of the curve. So now we are going to go ahead and work on the sleeve. I am removing the pins. The pattern for the drafting of this sleeve also was in the last video. We cut out everything there in that last video. So now I'm going to be picking one of the two sleeves. This upper part here is the armhole area, so this is the end. I am going to head over to the sewing machine and make a long stitch here. It's going to be a gather stitch, so I would not back stitch. So guys, I'm done making the stitch now, and I have some excess threads on the sides for me to be able to pull on and get my gathers for the sleeve. So I'm just going to basically pull on one of the thread, which is usually the top thread. I'll just pull on it until it gets to the length of my band. But of course, I'll just first of all make a general pulling, and then I'll bring in my band to measure the length and make it the same with the sleeve. So guys, this is my band here. Okay, I added stitching allowances to the side as well. So you need to do the same thing. Of course, we actually cut out everything in the last video, so you need to see that video. So now I folded this piece into two to cut out the band so that we don't need to be joining anything again. So I'm going to arrange the end of this sleeve into the top of the band like this to make sure that it's perfectly the same length. So I realized that the sleeve itself is a little bit longer than the band, so I just pull on the threads a little bit, and now I'm going to go ahead and pin the sleeve down with the band. So now I'm going to make a stitch here to join it together and do the same thing for the other side as well. After I was done, this is what it looked like, and I went ahead to use the overlock part of my sewing machine to just secure the ends so that it will look really neat and nice. So now the next thing we're going to be doing is to join this sleeve to the body of the dress, the blouse actually. So I'm going to be joining this. I went ahead to first of all pin it around the sleeve, and this is what it looks like after I was done pinning it down. Now I went ahead to stitch the both pieces down on the sewing machine. This way it's more secured, and this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn everything over to the wrong side, as you can see, and then we're going to go ahead and join the sides. Okay, so I will start from the sleeve area. I'm going to go ahead and stitch from here down to the bodies, from the sleeve down to the bodies, and I will do the same thing on the other side. And of course I'll have to measure my body measurements while I'm doing this. So guys, I am done stitching it down now, and this is what it looks like. So this is basically all for the making of this blouse. Okay, the zipper opens up fully, as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and zip it up back. So yeah, this is basically all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.